Hi, I'm Stuart, and I am your middle-aged hack, just a child of the 80s trying to make his way through the 20s. If you've watched my previous video on the GenX retirement crisis, you probably already know some of what I'm about to say. If you haven't, check it out here. But let's get moving on the two mistakes that you absolutely must not make if you've been laid off as a Gen X or even older millennial. The retirement crisis is real, folks, and there's no question about it. If you were born after 1964, you didn't have the benefit of a system that guaranteed you a lifelong commitment from one company, perhaps with a fixed benefit pension. You were the first generation in 100 years not to have that. And as a result, you found yourself trying to make your own way, hopping from job to job. And maybe over the last 10 years, you felt like you finally found some place that you can stay for a while. Well, unfortunately, a lot of folks in their 50s and even late 40s are finding out that companies just don't really want them around. It's really not a matter of ageism so much as companies just really want to move forward, they want to be dynamic, and they don't believe that folks in Generation X can do that with them. It's a quiet crisis, something that nobody is talking about, pretty characteristic of Generation X if you really sit down and think about it. And so, as you listen to your Generation X friends who perhaps might no longer have a job that they thought they were going to be able to keep until retirement, here's some advice that everyone should be considering. There are two things that you must absolutely never ever do if you are laid off and you are in your 50s, early 60s, or even late 40s. The first thing is continue contributing to your IRA or retirement plan as much as you possibly can. Hopefully everyone out there who's listening has an IRA of one sort or another. With the traditional IRA, you pay the taxes at the end. With the Roth IRA, you front load the taxes, so you're really only paying taxes on the profits. You should really be talking to a financial advisor as far as which of those is better for you, but I hope that you have one of them. And you should be contributing the maximum possible into your IRA. Even now, if you've been laid off, do not stop contributing to that IRA because it pays dividends. It will keep growing. And when you are really ready to retire, it will be there for you when you need it to be. If you stop contributing now and you just cruise on the amount of money that you've put in before, you are missing out on prime earnings time. If you are in your 50s, you've got 15 years or so that money can be growing for you, and you can be putting more and more in and taking advantage of the benefits of an IRA plan. Do not stop contributing to your IRA. Just don't do it. Don't even think about it. Think about it as an expense that you absolutely must make, like your mortgage or your car payment. It's non-negotiable. Just don't stop. The second mistake that people make as soon as they get laid off is even worse, and that's taking money out of a retirement plan. Do not ever take money out of a retirement plan until you are old enough to do it right, and that means being age 59 and a half in the case of IRAs, or in some cases 65, 67, or even 70 years old. If you take this money out ahead of time, you are going to be subject to taxes and penalties and all sorts of problems. So not only are you losing out on the interest that this money could be making, interest that you will need to live on when you are in your 70s, 80s, and 90s, but you're also paying penalties which reduce the amount of earnings that you've made on them in the first place. You could be losing a third or more of the value of the money that you take out just by taking it out early. There are some cases where you can take contributions from your IRA and take them back out But just don't do it, because you're hurting yourself in the end. You are hurting your family. Just don't do it. So you might be asking yourself, well, what should I do instead? I mean, you could be looking at a question of whether or not you can eat that day versus contribute to your IRA, and that's scary. And you're probably not going to get to that point. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're probably not going to get to that point, but it's going to feel like you are. It's going to feel like it. Take a moment, take a breath, and realize that you have options. You can find a job, any job, even if it's a job that has nothing to do with your career. If you are strong enough to sweep floors or make fast food, do that instead of taking money out of your IRA or no longer contributing to your IRA. I bet there's a bunch of stuff out there that you can get rid of and you're just not going to miss it. And if you've been a bit of a pack rat over the last 20 to 30 years, you could have some highly collectible stuff. If you still have records from when you were a kid, they might be worth a lot more than you expect. Old video games are incredibly hot right now. And if you've got any of that old stuff, now's the time to sell it. This is the time to look through everything that you have and take every opportunity to make money any other way and still fund your retirement. You must do it. Don't stop. Now, what if you had retirement benefits coming from your former employer? Well, obviously, a lot of times you're not going to be able to contribute directly to that anymore. You can roll it over, talk to a financial advisor to see if that makes the most sense to roll it over or leave it where it is. Just because you left that company doesn't mean you lose out on any money you've put into retirement. Don't let them tell you that. You have the right to the money that you earned while you were working for that company. If you can no longer contribute to an employer-sponsored plan, then do your best to save some other way. You're not going to get as much benefit because that money isn't going to come out tax-free. But on the other hand, you're making less money, so you may be in a lower tax bracket this year, and you may have some tax benefits that way. Take that money, put it all into retirement. Folks, I know how scary it can be to lose your job unexpectedly. Just don't go crazy. Don't hurt your future self because your current self is afraid. It's all going to be okay. You're going to make it. Just take a look at the resources you have and don't, I beg you, don't change your retirement savings strategy. That's it for the middle-aged hack for today. I hope you like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel to 1,000 subscribers, so please, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe. I sure do appreciate it. Tell your friends all about it, and I'll see you next time on The Middle-Aged Hack.